I know people like to complain, but I actually think the WNBA media rights deal is a good deal for the league. I get it. Cheryl Miller had called it lowball, and I understand that line of thinking given the explosion in the game. Given the explosion in the game. But think about it logically for a second. The WNBA All-Star ratings tripled what was the record, right? Tripled it, which is huge. That's crazy. That's awesome. Well, this media rights deal triples what the WNBA was getting in the deal before, triples it. So basically, what they did was lock in the growth that they have now for 11 years. Does that mean they can't grow more? No. Does it mean, they can't get more money from this current deal? No. Because if you look at the details, and the link to this is in the description, the deal is worth about $200 million per season, or $2.2 billion in total. That's an increase of more than 3 times the existing number of $60 million that ends in 2025. And on top of that, they have an out after 3 years to get more money. Now, it means they're going to be broadcast and split up on multiple different platforms because the deal is with Disney, which means ABC and ESPN. It is with NBC Universal, which would mean NBC and Peacock. And it is with Amazon, which would mean Amazon Prime. Oh no, streaming. And on the terms of it, again, they can get out after 3 years to try and make more money. And as far as the money that this will mean for the players can opt out of the CBA after 2025. So there will be trickle-down economics here. The players will get paid more based on this. As far as where you'll be able to watch the games, I just said the places, and that the finals will be spread over that 11-year period. I think 5 will be on ABC, ESPN platforms, and then the other 3 and 3 will be on NBC and Amazon Prime, which means it will be streaming. And I've seen some brushback on the streaming, like, it's, this league is supposed to be growing. Why would you go to streaming? That's the way of the future. Look, this deal was not, the NBA itself is in a huge fight with TNT right now. The whole breakup of inside the NBA, you probably read about that. TNT says it matched the offer. Turner says it matched the offer. The NBA went with the Amazon deal. They probably look at the streaming as a better platform for the future than OG cable, original cable. And so, I mean, that's just the times. I think there's NFL playoff games on Peacock. There are NFL games on Amazon. If the NFL can be on Amazon, the WNBA can be on Amazon. Let's put it that way. And I think it makes sense to lock in the growth that you've shown already for 11 years with the potential to get out at 3 and get even more money if the growth continues. But let's just say in a world where this is the peak of it, you're locked in. And in a world where it's not the peak of it, which hopefully it isn't, you have a chance to benefit from that going forward. So I don't really get some of the criticism. Again, I think sometimes people just like to complain. We'll see how the deal, and Cheryl Miller said it, and Cheryl Miller is such a likable individual, and I'm not disputing her point of view, but I do think that's why you get out at 3 years. As far as, the break that's going on right now, I could have done a separate video on this, but I'm not really into the paparazzi gossip aspect of things. But all these news stories keep coming out. And meanwhile, the ladies are chilling at the moment. Caitlin Clark had vowed not to touch a basketball. Well, she is in Mexico right now, apparently. This photo posted from Katie Lou Samuelson's Instagram, Lexi Hull and Caitlin Clark are mermaids or something. I don't know. I don't care. Chilling. Good for her. Get some relaxation in there. I would just hope that either, Lexi Hull can make an open shot when the season resumes, and that Katie Lou Samuelson can provide a lick of defense moving laterally when the season resumes, because they really need, production from people not named Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell, the 3 all-stars, the 3 legitimate bona fide all-stars. That's why I felt the whole speculation about Caitlin possibly leaving is silly, because of we'll see what the ramifications of a new CBA are, aside from her contract, with the fact that they do have this base of 3 All-Stars there. It's just fans being bored and needing something to talk about because her and Boston could be one of those connections, like Brady and Gronkowski or Nash and Stoudemire, or something like that lives for a long time. Meanwhile, Angel Reese is a little bit more basketball adjacent right now. She was at the game with Kevin Durant and Steph Curry watching the women's basketball team, but she's also, I think, in Disneyland in Paris right now. So there is Angel. I mean, who would have thought people would be fiending so much for WNBA coverage and content? I mean, in the past, if I'm being real with you, like the summer was the off season for sports, right? Like baseball would take place. There would be some baseball. People might pay attention to the All-Star game, baseball All-Star game, that is, when it happened. And then, of course, when the Olympics happen, people pay attention to the Olympics. But other than that, it was always kind of quiet. It was always kind of quiet. And now the WNBA sort of marked that territory. And you'll see that obviously continue into the fall when they resume. The Fever are back on August 16th, I believe is the date. And then obviously, the Unrivaled League will take place. Angel Reese has signed up for that. We'll see what the final rosters look like for that, if Caitlin decides to play there or not. And then women's college basketball gets underway shortly thereafter that, where we've already seen this huge influx in star power there. I mean, I see Paige Beckers every time I'm scrolling up and down my timeline. Some people are trying to make stupid points using her, but nevertheless, I see her all the time. Obviously, Juju Watkins is another big star, and there seems to be more and more stars coming up that way. And it's in stark contrast to men's college basketball, which is very fractured nowadays, where you don't see the men have an attachment because they're either there for 1 year, not there at all, coming from overseas. And that's why the WNBA draft and this rookie class that is so celebrated is so much more famous than the guys' side of things at the NBA draft, which is another thing I never would have imagined to happen. So women's national championship beats the men's national championship. Women's Final Four beats the men's Final Four. I would have never imagined. WNBA ratings explode. I would have never imagined it happened to this degree. Now you're seeing the media rights be sought after versus it seemed like a charity case. Before it was a charity case. So to go from charity case to people saying you're not getting enough when it's $2.2 billion, that's a pretty good sign of growth for sure.